2, 1.
Hello, guys. This is Courtlandt Griffin again from Radio Row Super Bowl week with my guy, Lorenzo Neal, former NFL fullback.
My man, Fort, what's good, baby?
Man, I'm having a good time. What about you?
Man, living legendary, baby. Just over here living it, hanging out with you. Man, what's popping? What you thinking this week?
Oh, man, this is a dream come true,
Yeah.
for myself growing up in Nashville. But,
The bill.
man, but
Were you there? Were you there? I'm just asking, were you there that month? Oh, were you too young to remember that
I was
month?
6. I was 6 years old.
What?
And,
You was in the music, you was in the house? Music City Miracle? You
And-
wasn't in the house? No.
man, I was in the house, man. And then, not being able to kind of gather it. It's crazy. You interviewing me. But
I'm fired up. So, I mean, who was you with? You was mom, dad? What? So tell
my
me.
dad, man.
So you and Pops go to the game. So you 6 years old. So you first grade,
I'm a
second grade.
Titans fan from day one.
Rocking.
First time hometown team. We never had a football team, and
Right.
now I'm there.
So was this the first game you ever been? So
we had been to multiple games. My mom was actually working with Dr. Elrod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my guy. Oh, you want it like that?
Yeah, man. So we
Oh,
would
so
see
you was really feeling it then.
we would see Steve, Eddie, those guys getting taped up, and it was, man. Yeah. So this is a dream come true for me.
Man.
But I
that's
want to get to these
crazy.
questions, man.
Well, okay, go
I
ahead,
want to
man.
get to these questions, man. So I just want to kind of get what was your transition, man, from the field to now being on the other side, right? Like you had been through this, you've been through this, and so going from that, being a player, having a mic in your face, the lights, the bright lights, and guys asking you questions, to now you're one of those guys who get to kind of be on the other side of that mic. How was that transition?
Man, it's great, man. You know, football, it kind of prepares you for it. I mean, you're always used to interviewing and have to make sure that you're coy with your answers and that you're a player. Sometimes your emotions, you get the best of you, so you got to think before you say things. So it was really, really neat. While I was playing in certain teams, I did radio. I actually was doing a show while I was playing, so I was able to get in, do some radio while I was playing the game. So it kind of prepared me for moments like this. So I just enjoy it because it's football. I mean, I'm a grown man. I was a grown man playing a kids game, getting a King's ransom.
Man.
But being able to know X's and O's. So when the transition came and I was like, finally at football, after playing 16 years, you're like, okay, what am I gonna do? And you talk sports. It's like, and it's easy, especially if you know the game. So you sit down and interview, and then you said, now it's like, okay, when I'm interviewing or being able to talk to guys, I know what I just kind of know some of the questions to ask because I was once there.
Yeah, man. I never got to play professional ball, but I played ball, so I'm kind of the same way. Like,
Right.
you want to bridge that gap as an athlete because you know, and you know all too well, you never want to talk about the loss when you have a loss.
No.
And you never want to get asked the repetitive questions, so you kind of want to tailor it. So that's interesting to hear that because that's kind of my dream was to bridge the gap between player and media. But man, like you said, you played 16 years in the NFL, and you played in some of the bigger markets, right? San Diego, California, big market, media market out there in California. Then you transitioned to a smaller market, new upstart team, technically, right, in Nashville with the Tennessee Titans. You get to a Super Bowl, and you go to Baltimore, which is another smaller market, right? But man, it seems like you've been big time everywhere you've been, man. How was it playing as a player, going from larger markets to more smaller markets, and the difference in the interaction between fans and media?
I think it's just when you're in college, you're going to a small, or not necessarily a huge college, but Fresno State. So when you get drafted to the pros, it's just still different. No matter how big the market is, I went from getting drafted to Fresno State, I got drafted to the Saints.
Yeah.
So New Orleans, this is where it's all started.
It all started for you,
Yeah,
right?
so I played in the Superdome. Being there was lit. You know, it's crazy because I was one of the better fullbacks, but I started out leading the league in rushing. I used to have those. I used to sit them down, to be able to shake them up. So
some wiggle.
right, had a little wiggle. So it's like it was really cool. Playing here in New Orleans, the great food, the great culture, and becoming a free agent and having an opportunity to go. Went to New York, played with the Jets with the great Bill Parcells. Tennessee, Fish, and having an opportunity from there. Going to the Cincinnati Bengals, where the team wasn't great, losing a lot, but I played with a great tailback and Corey Dillon. Played with Eddie George, the great LaDainian Tomlinson, Baltimore AFC champion. So It's always been great. It's always been fun, and I just enjoy the game.
And I got so you mentioned it, I didn't. Right? You've been to multiple AFC Championship games. You've been to the Super Bowl. Went to the Super Bowl with the Titans. How hard is it as a player to get back to the pinnacle of which is, I mean, the conference championship? Super Bowl is a different monster, right? But how tough is it just to prepare your body to get back to that conference championship game while having that target on your back?
It's you know what's crazy that I think that people don't talk about it. It's like watching what Kansas City's done, watching what the Patriots done, watching these teams that get back to the Super Bowl. I'm gonna tell you what's kind of unique. Show me a team that's won multiple Super Bowls, that's been to multiple Super Bowls. One thing you usually get consistency is the quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback that's a leader, that is a game changer, that can go and demand and be able to grab guys and put guys and pull them to a high level, it's hard to do because that's the position that gets all the glory. That's the position that always goes through. You can have a great defense, but great defense will win you a Super Bowl.
Right.
But when you say, think about the Bills in their heyday, who was the quarterback? Even though they didn't win them, they went to four. Think about the Cowboys, they beat them every time. Who was their quarterback? Troy.
Yeah.
Look at Kansas City. Who's their quarterback? You look at New England, all the Super Bowls. Who's the quarterback? You gotta have that guy. But it can't just be the guy. He's got to be the man. He's got to be a guy that sets discipline. It can't be. You can have an athletic and great quarterback, but if he doesn't set the precedent and hold guys to a higher level,
It's hard to get there, man. And so I just got a couple more questions, though. I'm gonna let you go. I know you're a busy man. You talked about the quarterback position. Can you? Because I mean, as a kid, I watched them. You know, we love them in Nashville. But you got to play behind number 9. Can you talk about Steve and just what he brought to the locker room and what he brought to the game?
he left it on the field. Dude, go out there with a broken toe. Go out there with his back messed up, everything messed up. Dude took so many hits, and he just would carry the team. Stephen Nair, man, I love that guy. He was a great person. Loved it. He's going down to my first moonshine. Can't get a moonshine.
Really?
Oh yeah, Steve, man, you
Really?
love Steve.
Yeah.
He was the best.
And then when we see the clips of Super Bowls, one of the iconic ones is Steve scrambling around. He's scrambling. He's got
the Rams that don't
play. He's got the guys hanging off of him, right? If I remember that right, I don't think you was on the field for that. If I remember that right. But what was it like seeing that? Like, was it like, man, you're watching this guy, you're like, man, how is he doing it? Or was it like, were you like, oh, come on, Steve, pull this out for us?
Man, it was like watching an action figure. No, it really was. When you watch him break the tackle, put the ball on the ground, hold his balance, kick out of that, and still throw the ball downfield, Stephen Nair, legendary.
And then I got one last question for you, man. Simple answer. I just want you to make an argument for number 9 and number 27 to get into the Hall of Fame. Right there in the camera.
Man, Eddie George should be in the Hall of Fame. You look at this guy, he was Offensive Player of the Year. You watch Eddie George, what he meant to the Titans. You look what he did his tenure as a running back, every year 1,000 yards. Eddie George, amazing. You know, a lot of running backs are in there, and you look at Eddie George's numbers for a lot of running backs. Why not Eddie George? He should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Eddie George should be in the Hall of Fame. Stephen Nair, do watch what he did as a player and as a quarterback. You think about Michael Vick, you look at Stephen Nair threw the ball, run the ball, do these things. Stephen Nair should be in the Hall of Fame. He took it, led a team to a Super Bowl. What he did in the National Football League, his play, speaks for itself. I do believe he should be.
And that's from the legend himself, Lorenzo Neal. You didn't hear from me. I ain't got to make that argument no more. This is Courtlandt Griffin bringing it live to you from a guy who played 16 years, man, a legend in his own right, Lorenzo Neal.
My man.